Hi, I'm Connie Alexander. Over the last few weeks, we have spotlighted some of the most well-known breeds of equines in the world. We are changing our focus today to share with you a group of horses that are both unique and in some cases even rare. The Spanish Mustang is an endangered equine. The Schaefers, along with their senior stallion Cactus Jack, are trying to change that. George and Kathy Schaefer own and operate Iron Horse Ranch in Gretna, Virginia. They specialize in gaited Spanish Mustangs and natural horsemanship training.
All right, Mr. Schaefer, tell me a little bit about this guy. Who we got here?
Sure, I'd love to. His name is Cactus Jack, and his registry number is 1533 in the Spanish Mustang registry. He's an 11-year-old Grulla stallion out of foundation stock from the Brazilian Ranch in Oshoto, Wyoming. We've had him now for 6 years. He was used primarily as a breeding stallion for the first 6 years. Then when we got him, I trained him to ride.
Well, tell me a little bit about what makes this guy different than say just a Mustang you would get from the Wild Hero and Auction program.
Well, many things. Sure, many things. Primarily, their conformation is extremely different, and their ancestry is different.
Can you tell me a little bit about their ancestry?
Sure, I'll try to do the best I can.
Okay.
Essentially, these horses, the first ones came on the second voyage of Columbus, and they established breeding farms in the Caribbean, and then Cortez picked them up and brought them in to Mexico and Central America, and that's where the horses began to propagate, proliferate, and of course the Indians acquired them, and it changed their culture from a dog culture to a horse culture, and they were the horse of the Pony Express. So then from there, they proliferated, through the centuries there, and basically around the turn of this century, a man by the name of Bob Brazilian, who was the founder of our registry, basically saw that the government was shooting the head stallions of the wild herds and introducing thoroughbreds and remounts and Morgans, I guess in an attempt to prove what nature had already perfected. And so what he decided to do was to try to preserve the breed. So he began to comb the West, the herds, the Ute herds, and he gathered the horses that he wanted for his foundation stock. So, and he really studied them. He looked at the horses, and he would wait until they die, and they normally have one less vertebrae than modern horses. And if I'm not mistaken, his mother just died, Esperanza, and she actually, I believe, it was 5 vertebrae. Maybe it was 4 and a piece of one, which is the 5th. So they actually have less vertebrae. Their bones, they're short coupled. Their bones, their cannon bones, are strong and round versus oblong, which makes them stronger and more hardy. The hoof thickness, he's got a hoof wall thickness of almost a ½ an inch, all the way around to the heel bone. So it makes him tough. We went on our first competitive trail ride in the fall, and it was a 20-mile ride, and we didn't even shoe him. And the vets were tickled to death because
Brake didn't have a problem with that at all.
No problem.
You were telling me a little something about the striping on his legs.
Sure. These are primitive markings, indicative of, they call it really the dun factor. His color, of course, is Grulla, but the dun factor particularly is the leg barring on the back of the legs, the dorsal stripe along the back. And here, if you catch the light just right, he has a dark wither shadow and a little bit of herringbone down the back. What they call herringbone, like little ribs. Also, he has the black mouse-tipped ears. Come here, Jack. Quit being a pig. Black mouse-tipped ears. And I don't know if we'll get his head just right. Pull his forelock over. And he has brindling on his forehead. You can see it over his eye.
That area right in there.
Right.
Sure.
Jack, you're something else. And of course, he has a very luxuriant mane and tail.
Yes, that's very.
I
think that really stands out with this horse.
Yeah, it really makes him look very Spanish.
Exactly.
But we ride extensively. We do a lot of work. I work horses off of his back.
Do you?
Yeah. He's a great animal,
So
superior
you feel
animal.
these horses would be good for any discipline.
Oh
really.
Yeah. They're a good using horse. People use them in the registry to play polo, dressage. Anastasi's a great dressage horse. Endurance, in fact, the 2000 Jim Jones Award, I think, went to Don Funk and his horse Geronimo, if I got the name right.
Yeah, and he was on a Spanish
And he was on a Spanish Mustang,
right.
Sure was.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, Mr. Schaefer, he's gorgeous. There's no doubt about it.
Well, thank you.
We thank you for being here and sharing your horse with us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Rocky Mountain Horse appeared in eastern Kentucky sometime around the turn of the century. This four-beat gaited horse became increasingly popular on the farms and rugged terrain of the Appalachians. They were versatile and strong, often being called on to plow, work cattle, and pull the family to church on Sunday. The breed's foundation sire, Old Tobe, was sure-footed and gentle. His offspring are medium-sized and exhibit a natural four-beat gait. This gait is present at birth and requires no special training or devices. This calm, sure-footed horse excels on the trail as well as in competition and endurance riding. All Rockies are solid in body color, but may have minimal facial markings. The availability of the Rocky Mountain horse is extremely limited due to the small number of remaining horses. The Rocky Mountain horse truly is a rare breed. There are presently efforts underway to promote, develop, and maintain this gentle, intelligent breed. The American Bashkir Curly is one of the most unique breeds of horses in the world. This breed is best known for its winter coat, a coat that curls from its nose to its tail. During the summer, they completely shed their curly coat, except for curls inside their ears, curly eyelashes, and curls on the mane and tail. The origin of the Bashkir Curly is a mystery. Statues and artwork of this breed have been found in China dating back to 161 AD. In 1938, a photo of a Bashkir Curly was printed in a Russian nature magazine under the title, The Evolution of the Horse. These horses were also sighted among wild Mustangs in Nevada and on reservations in North and South Dakota. The American Bashkir Curly Registry was established in 1971 to preserve and promote this unique breed. The curls on these horses actually vary from horse to horse and from year to year. The curls range from tight corkscrew curls to shiny waves. The mane on the Curly is soft and fine and is called a double mane because it splits down the middle, leaving curly ringlets hanging on both sides. The Curly is a medium-sized horse, but can also be found in pony and draft sizes. Their soft eyes have an unusual upward slant, which sometimes make them look sleepy, but which actually give them a longer range of vision to the rear. This breed is alert with a proud carriage and generally moves at a running walk. Their hooves are round in shape and they have short backs which indicate 5 lumbar vertebrae. The foals immediately exhibit thick, crinkly coats after birth, and they are born with an affectionate, friendly disposition. The Bashkir Curly is favored for its calm and gentle disposition, and frequently do not resort to flight when frightened, as in common with other breeds. If they feel threatened, they will generally kick before they will run. Many owners of Curlies who are allergic to other horses are not allergic to Curlies. Many breeders are attracted to the Curly to escape the allergy symptoms that they have with other horses. The Bashkir Curly is intelligent with a strong memory. They learn quickly and are successful mounts for Western pleasure, reining, eventing, dressage, and driving, just to name a few. They also excel at endurance trail riding and ranch work. This people-oriented breed has something for everyone. From its beautiful winter curly coat to its gaited ride, this remarkable horse is a rare, and many owners will tell you, addictive breed. The Mangalarga Marchador is the national horse of Brazil. This spectacular gaited horse descended from the royal altar stallions of Portuguese King de Goiás about 1750. There were no native horses in South America before the Europeans arrived, and the horses they brought were predominantly Barb and Andalusian. King de Goiás moved his family, his entire court, and a few of his royal altar stallions to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1808 when Napoleon threatened the Iberian Peninsula of Portugal. The horses he brought were bred to imported Barb mares. Over time, and with strict control of breeding, a genetically improved horse, known for its rhythmic and smooth gait, was produced. These horses were the original Mangalarga Marchadors. This breed has been retained in its purest form for nearly 200 years. The Marchador's height averages between 15 and 17 hands with an average weight between 850 and 1,100 pounds. The mane and tail of this breed are silky, without the typical coarse horsehair feel. The body of this breed is compact with well-proportioned, long, muscular shoulders. The Marchador is agile and able to withstand long periods of exercise. This magnificent breed is known for its versatility and endurance. They excel in performance and competition. The Marchador competes in cutting, endurance riding, trail, dressage, jumping, and polo. They have even made their mark in the Guinness Book of World Records. In 1994, three 60-year-old Brazilian men rode Marchadors over 8,000 miles in 1.5 years. They rode the same horses all day and rested at night. They endured extreme temperatures and altitudes. Their stamina is unchallenged. The most outstanding characteristics of the Mangalarga Marchador is the genetic gait or marcha. This horse makes a semicircular forward motion with its front legs while propelling itself by its hind legs. This horse can overstep its front legs, resulting in alternative diagonal and lateral moves. This gait produces moments of triple hoof support, which prevents vertical lift and drop. Two marches, or rhythmic gaits, are produced by the Mangalarga. The batida allows the horse to cover distance at great speeds, and the picada, which is similar to the paso corto in the Pasofino breed. The result of both gaits is the same: a smooth and comfortable ride, allowing a rider to cover long distances without undue exertion on the rider's body. The Mangalarga adapts easily to any terrain, climate, or type of feed. They are intelligent, calm, and easy to train. The Marchador is new to the North American equine community. Having just recently arrived, they are now making their impact felt. These horses are the first and only animals in the U.S. to carry a registered trademark. Licensed breeding farms in the Midwest, the Southeast, and California have been established to make this exciting and wonderful horse available to the American equine community. The needs of a geriatric horse can easily be met with some extra time and consideration. Dr. Johnson discusses the care of the older horse.
Many people ask me, are the years of a horse's life equivalent to the years of a person's life? And from a lot of studies, they figured out that it's about 3 years of a horse's life to 1 of a human's life. So if you've got a 20-year-old horse, you've got an approximately 60-year-old horse by comparison to us. So they just age a little bit more rapidly than we do. Often people feel like it's not necessary to exercise an older horse. Just let them out on the pasture and they'll be fine. They need to exercise even more than younger horses do. They'll develop stiffness in their joints when they just stand around. They'll lose muscle strength and elasticity as they grow older. And so they need to exercise. They need to exercise regularly, on a regular basis. They don't need too strenuous an exercise, but they need it to be pretty continuous, the same each day. They also need longer warm-up and longer cool-down cycles because it takes them a little bit more time in order to get those muscles stretched out. Of course, nutrition is an important issue when you're dealing with an older horse. They need a little bit higher nutritional plane than younger horses do. They need a little bit more protein and a little bit more calcium in their diets. They also need a little bit more roughage than the younger horses had, and they required a lot. They need less stemmy hay. You want younger timothy, orchard grass, and things of that nature that aren't quite so stemmy and they're easier to chew. So occasionally we have to chop their food or give them foods that are ground because they can't chew as well as the younger horses can. We also want to keep them a fresh supply of water, and it's important that their water is very clean because they're a lot more sensitive to contaminants than younger horses are as well. As far as mineral supplementation, you always want to have a mineral salt block available to each horse so that they have access to it. Each individual needs to be able to have access to the salt and the mineral at their own discretion whenever they feel like they need it. That way you don't have to worry about them going without for any period of time. In the older horse, you want to use the white salts. It's very important for a geriatric horse to have the white salts in its diet because they need it a lot more than the younger horses do. Just like we keep our young horses groomed, the older horses need to be groomed as well. They enjoy the attention even more than the young horses do because they don't have as much on their mind. Also, it helps to keep their coats healthy. It helps to improve circulation. It's important to keep the feet cleaned out, picked out every day because they're more sensitive to foot problems, hoof problems. It's also important to have a farrier come out and keep the feet trimmed or keep them shod about every 6 to 8 weeks because those old hooves are a little bit more difficult to keep healthy. In the older horse, shelter is a little bit more of an issue than it is in the younger horses. They're more susceptible to the cold and a little more sensitive to the heat. So we want to make sure that we keep them plenty of shelter, keep the winds off of them. If we have to, we can put a pasture blanket on them if we don't have a way of keeping them inside on cold nights or keeping them in the shade on really hot days because they're much more sensitive to the extremes. When it comes to veterinary care in an older horse, the number one thing that we have to worry about are the teeth. We want to make sure that we keep those teeth healthy. Otherwise, that horse is not going to be able to keep himself nutritionally sound, no matter what we feed him. And the most important aspect of that is keeping the teeth floated because what will happen is sharp edges will build up on the teeth and cause pain when the horse chews. You can notice that if they start to drop food out of their mouth or if they start to pass whole kernels of corn or whole oats through their digestive tract. That means they're not able to chew their food correctly, and so you need to get the vet in there. Now, most people will have the vet come out at least a couple of times a year and just clean those teeth up, float them prophylactically, check for any that are missing or loose or maybe causing pain, because that's the most important aspect there. We also want to check the feet. We also have to watch for lameness in an older horse. Lameness is an issue with an older horse because if they get lame, they usually don't bounce back from it like a younger horse would. And we'll often see horses start to decline when they develop a chronic lameness. So we want to get ahead of those if we can at all. Other things are vaccinations. Of course, we don't want to stress them any more than we have to, so we want to give them just the vaccinations that are absolutely necessary. So that depends on your area. You'd want to talk with your veterinarian about which vaccinations are needed the most in that older horse and considering that older horse's environment, if he ever leaves the pasture or if he stays there all the time. Another important part is the worming schedule. We want to keep them on a regular worming schedule just like we did when they were a young horse because they are more susceptible to parasites now than they ever were. And so parasites are going to do more damage. If we just follow some of these simple guidelines, we can help our horse have a longer, more satisfying life.
Side passing is an important skill your horse needs to be able to perform, and John Lyons explains why.
Why does the horse need to learn how to side pass? Well, basically, the reasons are probably about 75, 80, 100 reasons. I don't know exactly how many, but side passing is actually progressive steps to teach the horse to stop. You know, you're actually slowing the horse down. It's a better way of teaching the horse to slow down than just pulling on the reins because you're actually teaching the horse to slow down in a manner or stop in a manner that he doesn't, you know, bounce his front legs on the ground and get very stiff. Side passing is a diagonals are a pre-step to side passing. Slight diagonal is, you know, for an example, if the horse is walking straight forward and straight forward is 12 o'clock, Slightly to the right would be 1 o'clock. When we're teaching the horse to actually side pass, which would be over here at 3 o'clock, then what's happening at 1 o'clock, we're actually teaching him his leads. And it would be like leading with his right, his right front leg, or leading with his left front leg. It'd be, like us teaching ourselves to shake with our right hand or shake with our left hand. It helps, and leads are important, because if we know we're going to turn right with the horse, then it makes it easier for him to turn to the right. If we have him on his left lead, if he's leading with his left front leg, and we ask him to turn to the right, it's very, very difficult for him to do that, because he really doesn't have a center pivot point where he can turn to the right. And so leads are important to help the horse balance himself. And so it's a benefit in beginning to teach the horse to side pass. Say, all right, I can also teach him his leads. Diagonals are, let's say 2 o'clock, where the horse is stepping over on 2 o'clock. Now, diagonals are important in many respects, because if you think of the horse as a dance partner, and you think of the arena or the trail ride as a dance floor, what we're trying to do is direct and guide our dance partner around this dance floor. And so the more exercises we practice with them, the more little dance steps that we practice with them, the softer and more responsive they become, and so we can direct them easier. Now, the advantage of that, let's say for an example that a tree, you're riding on a trail, and a tree is going to bump your knee. Well, without really changing directions of the horse, an abrupt change of directions, you can leave his head to the left, or pointing towards the tree, and just move him over a little bit and not have your leg, get bumped. Where if you turned his head to the right, let's say for an example, the tree's to the left, and you wanted to turn his head to the right and ride him away, his body would lean to the left, and in some cases push your knee right into the tree even more. Whereas you can keep his head straight and just move his shoulders over, have him reach over and step on 2 o'clock, and all of a sudden you don't get bumped by the fence post, or by the tree, or by the barbed wire fence, or even by another horse in front of you, which is even more dangerous. So it becomes a safety factor as well. Side passing gives you more control. For an example, in opening gates. And you think, well, why would that be important? Well, it's important to somebody who it's difficult for them to get up and down on the horse. It's important for somebody who just wants to develop better control on their horse. And when you're side passing a horse, what you have done is you've stopped all forward motion, but you've kept his legs going. The advantage of keeping his legs going is when we do teach him to stop, as I said before, he doesn't stop so abruptly. The advantage of teaching a horse to side pass really are many, many advantages, and we don't want to move him sideways like a board, like to push in the middle of him and just push him sideways, because then all we end up with that is just a particular maneuver. But if we teach him to move forward and slight diagonal, and forward and a little bit more diagonal, and then forward and side pass, then we end up with a lot more benefits.
Horse and Around went to the 8th Annual Rare Breed Livestock, Miniature, and Pet Expo to find and film rare and unusual equines. We found them, and so much more. This Rare Breed Expo is a forum for the public, breeders, publication, rescue organizations, and animal enthusiasts of all type. They gather in Knoxville, Tennessee in May of each year to learn the latest and newest trends involving animals through firsthand experience. The expo features both full-size and miniature agricultural and companion animals with a focus on rare breeds. Sponsored by Deidre Tarr of Heartsong Triple D Farm in Jefferson City, Tennessee, this gathering of exhibitors, breeders, and educators provides a rare opportunity for people to make responsible decisions about the unique animals they wish to take home. This expo provides hours of educational seminars and animal demonstrations. Pioneer skills and arts relating to animals and fiber arts are displayed. A truly long-term benefit of attending the expo is the ability to network and establish relationships among people of similar interest. The opportunity for owners and buyers of rare and unusual animals to form co-ops, animal rescue operations, and establish breed conservancy is provided. The expo also features a parade of breeds. Rare breeds and unusual animals are exhibited before a delighted public. It is an opportunity to see, touch, and experience rare animals and talk with the people who know and care for them. The Rare Breed Livestock, Miniature, and Pet Expo also seeks to increase the public awareness of rare animals and their value. Public awareness and involvement is crucial for the protection and promotion of these wonderful animals. Horses inspire passion in the people who know and love them. They have shared our history, our growth, and our battles. The horse was a gift, a magnificent, intelligent creation given to humanity for service and relationship. They are fulfilling those roles as much today as they have in our past. Our goal here at Horsin' Around is to share information and perhaps even a little inspiration about this special animal. As always, when you are horsing around, be safe.